Well, this is, what is it called? The Mall of the Americas for 5 Below, Burlington. Now it's called Midway Crossings. Right there's Ulta. There's the Home Depot right there. And there's a movie, where it used to be a movie theater, used to be a Costco. I might just get in. I don't know. This is a lot of people that, but there is one thing for sure. There is a Radio Shack. There's the Radio Shack. And then we go through there, T-Mobile, right there. And then we're gonna go in there and see you right there in a second. I'm gonna check out the stores and I'll speak about it when I come to my house. The freaking Beetlejuice characters. But then this is a fun house, alright? I mean, let's get in. Let's get in and see what's going on here. Whoa. Shoot. I mean, it's the clown. I'm out of here. This is just a Halloween store in Midway Crossings. He has a ball. He's rolling in a ball. Well. So here I am. There's a supermarket called Aldi. And then after I come up to the store, all right, I know what it is. What's so funny about it, in the pandemic, when the last store was in Burlington, I will tell you much more enough when I'm going home. It took me 2 damn buses to go in this mall. All right, controversy to all you people watching on the Embargo Man channel. The thing is that once I didn't film the whole thing in the mall, but I went to the Halloween store. But then after all, the thing about all this, about the change of the mall and everything like that, it has to be a lot of the pandemic and all this. All of that is all BS. All right. The thing that it is BS because the people in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and secretly speaking, they have a mall, and this is the last store I went to, and the last thing I bought is a chocolate and toothpaste. Well, talking about all the BS that is going on right now, all the BS that is going on with the pandemic of all this is that people in Minneapolis, Minnesota, say we're like about naming rights and claims of the mall, of changing the name of the mall. All right, I mean Mall of America, Mall of the Americas, and let me tell you what is gonna happen. And I am gonna say anything right there, here in the Embargo Man channel. See you over there. Now I'm back. So, to explain all this about Midway Crossings and how it have been changed with 3 names, I'm gonna roll the footage right now.
Rediscover the Mall of the Americas. Enjoy a secure ambience while you save. The Mall of the Americas, where you can find a selection of over 100 stores with quality merchandise at the best prices. It's a shopping experience full of surprises. Get together at the Mall of the Americas, located in the heart of Miami, Flagler, west of Palmetto. Rediscover it.
Hello then. Well, now, as I'm gonna tell you all this, so since I have ever been to Midway Crossing, this mall has been definitely having 3 name changes, or have been changing names since the start. I am not lying, but before that, it was called Midway Mall. Midway Mall, before it was called Mall of the Americas. All right, never had anything, what else, a movie theater or whatever else. But later on, they added movie theaters, and they call it Mall of the Americas. What is it with Mall of the Americas? The last time I went there, it was called Mall of the Americas, was with my dad. We went and shopped for something. Okay, put it away. Let me tell you the stores. But now, and I am gonna show you something that I got. All right. So, but let me just figure out. I'm gonna get it. Okay, but now, everything about the name change since 2020, since the pandemic, put it that in, since the COVID pandemic and everything like that. I mean, there is a lot of things to come in there. It was like back in 1992, the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, had opened Mall of America. What is the similar names got in? Put it this way, from 1989 to 2020, around there, since it been closed, Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in Bloomington, Minnesota, has been very known as the largest mall in the USA. So, being the largest mall in the USA, Mall of America was getting recognized. Even though being there since 1992, what happened with Mall of the Americas? It was like naming rights confusing. Maybe the people in Bloomington, Minnesota, around the area of Minneapolis, Minnesota, were given a sue about having the same name and confusing and all that stuff. So after all these times, after all these years, let me tell you what it is. First thing they did in the Mall of the Americas before it was called Midway Crossings. They took out the AMC 14 movie theaters. And I remember that movie theater. All right. So the commercials, they don't have it. I couldn't find the footage about Mall of the Americas. I remember that jingle, right? So what's going on. They took out the movie theaters. They put the Costco. Some guy told me, oh yeah, the Grand Prix, what's called Boomers, the Grand Prix Racerama or something. Oh, the Grand Prix something. I remember that. I remember the go-karts, right? They showed that they put apartment complexes over there. The one thing that I'm sure that I have never seen in years is a Radio Shack. The Radio Shack, bro, the Radio Shack right there is not like it is. They sell fire sticks. They sell some kind of gizmos and gadgets. Is privately owned. I mean, like the corporate Radio Shack, now they all is controlled in the Caribbean, Central America and the Caribbean. That means, in other words, it's easier to find a bunch of Radio Shacks in Jamaica than in America. So this is like the last Radio Shack in Florida that I believe it is. So you could come to that Radio Shack. They sell stuff for TVs, they sell stuff like antennas and stuff. They sell radios, like a knockoff of a Sony radio that I have, right? And then I went to a 5 and below. They have an art school and a music school that they teach people. They even teach kids how to do artwork. That's awesome. Before that, they used to have an arcade, Payless shoes. I don't know what happened with Payless shoes, but they went out of business here in the United States. To say that, Payless only works in the Caribbeans and only works in places like that, right? In Latin America and the Caribbeans. To what is the extent of that is that they have, the only thing I have is a Ross, a Burlington, and I don't know what else they're gonna have. They have a few salons, a barber shop, not that much, little stores here and there, some small shops for women, boutiques for like women's clothes and men's clothes, more, or like things for barbershop and beauty supply things, like a small, like they have like a knockoff Norelco / Phillips shaver to be sold. And after all, they have an Aldi supermarket. And let me tell about Aldi. Aldi is a supermarket based in Germany. It's a company based in Germany that they have their supermarkets outside of Germany, outside of America. So what I had is a chocolate bar that it has cherries on top of, like really delicious, and two toothbrushes. This pack of 2 toothbrushes, even though they're not made in America, they're not even made in China, they're made in Germany. I mean, to say about that, it's cost like $2.69, almost $3. I mean, in the words, they sell like $5 or even $15 for a couple of toothbrushes in other areas. But I find these, and then toothbrush wear out, right? I mean, put it that way, if the people in Minnesota have known, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Bloomington, Minnesota, let me tell you what, this mall in Miami, being called Midway, now Midway Crossings, was called Mall of the Americas. The confusion with that, okay, I am glad. I have never been to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've never been to Bloomington, Minnesota. But I hope if anybody could say about this, I hope that I could come to Mall of America and make a YouTube video about Mall of America, right? So that could be keep on. I need just thousands of subscribers, right? So the thing with this pandemic and all what it says they closed it because of the pandemic and changed the name because of the pandemic is all BS. The main thing that they call Mall of the Americas is because of, the Latin community here in South Florida. And you call it Mall of the Americas. They closed in the pandemic. The BS thing is that they sue Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? Bloomington County, Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're the ones that are gonna sue about the naming rights. All right, it's bigger. One thing is when the mall is bigger and having the same name, what are you gonna do? Just change it, and that's what it's called. That is why it's called Midway Crossings. The two biggest malls in Florida is Dolphin and Sawgrass Mills, right? So what it is with this confusing about the mall, about people not to confuse the people in Minnesota, not to confuse Mall of America with Mall of the Americas, is that the name change, I think, is kind of accurate. You notice it. Since they opened Mall of America in 1992 until 2020, 2021, what was the last time it was called Mall of the Americas? They closed the mall. It is all regarding following BS, what they say in Wikipedia. Midway Crossing, what they say, why they changed the main name is all BS. But the truth is, and the matter of truth behind the BS is that Bloomington, Minnesota, or in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Notice about this mall. In Miami, Florida, having similar names, have to sue the company of Midway Crossing to change it. What is the name? As now is called Midway Crossing. This is very similar to Winter Wonderland in Tropical Park with Santa's Enchanted Forest that once is held in Tropical Park with the naming rights in Tropical Park. I mean, put it all in conclusion, it's all regarding to BS. And I have made this thing up. Why they don't go at the fairgrounds, all right, and have Santa's Enchanted Forest back at Tropical Park? It kind of makes sense. It made sense that since Mall of America in Bloomington, around Minneapolis, Minnesota, in Bloomington, Minnesota, has opened since 1992, Mall of the Americas, having a similar name, Mall of America, Mall of the Americas, is kind of confusing. Ended up being called Midway Crossing. It makes kind of sense. It makes kind of sense, and I agree. And I agree this makes sense because people know in Miami, Florida, most likely not just Miami, Florida, people in Minnesota notice about that Mall of the Americas. I mean, like, oh, they're copycats. It's like saying, yes, the bigger mall will be more recognized. the bigger mall, being the biggest, one of the biggest malls in North America or in the world at one time, right? Since 1992, is like, yes, I don't know if they still have an AMC movie theater, but the one in the Mall of the Americas. Now, Midway Crossings, for all you people in Minnesota. Mall of the Americas is kind of like the small mall. It's a little fish. I mean, you have the big one. You have the big kahuna, Minnesota. You guys have the big kahuna. It's being called Mall of America since 1992. And that name that we get, Mall of the Americas, and I could agree with the name change, not to get confused, for over all these years since the time that it was called Midway, back in the 1970s. Then it grew. Then they had a movie theater. It was called Mall of the Americas. Until 1992, this confusion came on and came on and came on. Everybody in the whole damn world has the internet. From New York to Japan, we'll find out on YouTube. Even the people in Minnesota said, "Oh, look, there's a mall in Florida similar to ours. There's a mall in Florida similar to ours." Pandemic came. You guys sue the Miami Mall, being called a similar name, and we get it. We bow down, we lick your boots, we kiss your butt, and I totally agree. You could come to the Midway Crossings. I would love to go to the Mall of America. Seem to be getting lost there, right? So, after all, that I would say to the people of Minnesota, the people of Bloomington, Minnesota, I'll say thank you regarding to this. I agree with the name change. I agree with the name change, for you guys don't get confused and say, "Oh, look, the Floridians are copying us. They're copycats." Nope. We just started a notch back in 1988 by changing the name from Midway to Mall of America, Mall of the Americas. But then you guys, I'm originally from New Jersey, but I live in Florida for a very long time. But you guys stood up, created a mall called Mall of America. It's one of the largest malls in the country. And one of these days, if I get 1,000 subscribers, monetize my YouTube videos, have something I have in a lounge, I'm gonna hop on a plane, I might hop in a Greyhound, I might hop on a train and go to the mall that you name Mall of America. And I will thank you for it. Why? Because I believe that you deserve, that you have been well known to have the largest mall in the USA. The largest mall in America, right? Mall of America will always be Mall of America. While Midway Crossings is like we're saying the people in Minnesota is laughing at Miami. All right. Yes, Vikings versus Dolphins. Well, Minnesota Vikings beat the Dolphins ass like crazy. Twins humiliated the Marlins. Let me tell you why. Because Mall of America it has been recognized more than Mall of the Americas. Why? Because it's bigger. That's the reason why. It's bigger. You have the bigger pond. Our pond is smaller. Midway Crossings. Alright, so hit the bell button. Please subscribe to the Embargo Man channel. I'll see you in the next video on the Embargo Man channel. I know one thing is, and people, if you have been in Miami, Florida, or you have been under a rock, all this about the changing of the name to call Midway Crossings because of the pandemic change, it's all BS. It's all BS because the people in Minnesota are saying, oh, you Floridians are the copycats. You Floridians are the copycats. Well, it is. Why? Because their mall is bigger. It has been open since 1992, right? You could go hop on a plane, like I might hop on a plane to go to Minnesota and visit the Mall of America. Get on a road trip in a bus or whatever, go all the way to Minnesota, to Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Bloomington, Minnesota, and visit Mall of America. I've never been to Mall of America, but well, see you in the next video, guys. Bless you all. Bless the people in Bloomington and around the area of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Bless the people of Bloomington, Minnesota to have the mall. And we deserve to be called Midway Crossings. Goodbye, everybody. One thing that I forgot to tell you about this, that one store that I've been is a Spirit Halloween store that they sell costumes. So I know that I have been there and I show you how it is, alright? I'm just gonna end up in this footage where I took something very scary. You know? I'm just gonna end up with that intro.